Hey neighbors, this is Kayden, your funky food coach, and I am here this week for a very special video. I'm at home in Vermont with my mom, Norma, and we're going to talk about a veggie that we have been getting a lot of. It is zucchini season in San Diego.
That's not a zucchini.
Okay.
Zucchinis, I don't know what this is. Zucchinis come out of the garden like this big and that big around, about the size of a baseball bat, and people leave them on your doorstep in the middle of the night.
Okay. So you probably can tell that I ate a lot of zucchinis growing up, and that's because in Vermont, zucchinis are something that grow really well in our soil. They grow pretty out of control in our soil.
Compost them, stuff them, or make them into bread, or drop them off on your neighbor's doorsteps.
So usually you had too many zucchinis for just your family to eat. So you would go out and you would share them around the neighborhood, and probably it was so big that nobody really knew what to do with them, right? And so zucchini bread is something that I really associate with my childhood because we just ate so much of it. And zucchini is awesome in bread because it makes a really moist bread. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and make some today. Full disclosure, we didn't grow these. My mom stopped growing zucchinis when all of us kids moved out because she grew even too many for the neighborhood. So
And
now
the
we
neighbors
just buy
started
them.
hating me.
Now we just buy them. So we have zucchinis here today, though not from our garden. And another thing I want to talk about is our cookbook that our zucchini bread, our Manning zucchini bread recipe came from. And this is not a Manning cookbook per se. We didn't write these recipes. They aren't passed down through the ages. But Mom, where did this big bright orange Betty Crocker cookbook come from?
It's not my mother's cookbook, but she had one very similar. This one is a 1985 cookbook that was given to us on our wedding day.
So you can see, check that out. Look at those 80s graphics. How beautiful is that? Is that Betty?
That's
on the
probably
back?
Betty.
That's Betty, or someone who's supposed to be Betty, I suppose. And you can probably see from this cookbook that it has been well loved over the years. There are a lot of recipes that we have made time and time again. The pages are tattered. A lot of pages come out. If it's a page that we have come to pretty often. And one that we have made over and over again, so much so that it's actually in backwards and torn because it's come in and out
Simple.
so often,
Easy.
is the zucchini bread page. And this has been made so often that you can see that it's covered in notes from my mom, depending on how much we want to make, how many people we're cooking for, how many giant zucchinis we've decided to cook with. So this is what we're going to work with today. Now, I do want to mention Betty Crocker from 1980s, healthy or not healthy?
No, not healthy.
Not
No.
healthy.
I did have a healthier version, a more updated version. I sent that off with my son because, it just didn't taste right.
Yeah. It's better with all the good stuff / bad stuff in there.
Yes.
So what we're going to do today is we're going to make the recipe as is. We will talk about some of the things that my mom does to make this slightly better for you.
Sure.
Less bad for you is maybe a good way to put it. Slightly less bad for you.
You can try that.
Right? So we
Yeah.
can give that a shot. But yeah, we are going to go ahead and make this today.
Make it the
good old,
1980 version.
the good old fashioned way.
Okay.
It'll be delicious. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and do that.
Great.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to get started. And the first thing that you want to do is you want to grate your zucchini. We're using a box grater. And my mom actually just told me something that I didn't realize was important for before you grate your zucchinis. So if you have this size zucchini, you probably can just start grating on your box grater. But if you have a baseball bat size zucchini, if you get one of the really big ones from the harvest, go ahead and talk about how they're supposed to go down, Mom.
Then I would just quarter it and then I would take the big seeds right out. Just go right along the length and toss the big seeds. You'll need more zucchini, but if you have a giant zucchini, you have more flesh anyway.
And if we have big seeds, why do we want to take those out?
Because
first?
then you have seedy zucchini bread.
The seeds don't grate well. Okay,
No.
There we go. Word to the wise. If you have a big zucchini with big seeds, get rid of them first. But otherwise, we'll go ahead and just start grating these. And we like to grate right into the...
Well, you can, or you can do
Don't
right
we?
on the...
Perfect. Okay, so Mom, how many cups of zucchini does this recipe ask us for?
3.
3 cups. Okay. Fabulous.
You want me to grate while you
Would
talk?
you like to? Sure thing. Well, this is easy. So if you're using a box grater, you're going to want to use this, the larger holes. Now, I always like to put in more zucchini than the recipe calls for. Zucchini is good for you, and it just adds some extra moisture to the bread. So if you have 2 zucchinis and you want to put both of them in there, that's okay. That 3 cups doesn't need to be exact. Oh my goodness, Ginny, come here. It's always important to have a cooking buddy too. My mom is my cooking buddy, but we also have Ginny. Hey Ginny, what's going on?
She doesn't like zucchini. She likes
doesn't
carrots.
Like zucchini.
Which reminds me that if you don't have enough zucchinis, which has happened to me, I have just grated carrots into the recipe, and the kids don't even know. They've eaten zucchini carrot bread before.
Now I know. Now, true to Betty Crocker form, the first ingredient on the list is shortening.
It absolutely is.
So you can start with shortening. If you want a healthier version, you can use oil or butter, depending on how healthy you want to go.
Either
with
direction.
that recipe.
With the fats, you can go either direction. Some people,
We have shortening because we cook from a Betty Crocker cookbook.
I know my mom once had a recipe that called for adding sour cream. I don't know how that made it healthier, but she swore by sour cream.
Yeah, so we're doing the full recipe. So we're going to do 2/3 cup shortening. And while Mom gets started over here, I am going to go ahead and preheat the oven to 350 degrees.
All right, so we're going to take our shortening and our sugar. You can go ahead and start getting the sugar. You need 1 1/3 cup of sugar.
1 1/3 cup.
Yeah, this
Perfect.
is an organic sugar, and it is, the crystals are bigger, so you don't actually get as much sugar in the measuring cup, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we should mention that because we are cooking the 80s Betty Crocker way, we try to balance it out by using organic ingredients. Also, sometimes we have the sugar for this recipe.
Yeah.
If we don't want something too sweet, we want to be kinder to ourselves, we'll have the sugar in this recipe. So let's do what it was, 2 2/3 cup sugar. For
No
both.
way, really? Yep. And I have at times just cut a whole cup of sugar out of this
So
recipe.
what if we do 1 1/3 cup?
Well, that's up to you.
I might feel better about that. We also might only have enough sugar.
No, I've got
for
more.
that.
I've got more. I've got more.
Okay, can you, I need a cup. Oh, measuring cup. All right, kids.
I'm going to show you guys something really cool.
This is
I
gonna
found,
get
too.
buck wild. Yeah, I'm just gonna do 1 1/3 cup, Mom. This is crazy.
I'm not going to plug a product here, but we just came across this product.
This is not sponsored by.
This is apple sugar, and it's a liquid, and it's a 1-to-1 ratio, and it says it's low glycemic sweetener. So there are substitutes. A lot of you have used applesauce. I personally like to use applesauce instead of sugar when I cut recipes, the sugar out of the recipes, especially if you have children who have become accustomed to sweet things. My suggestion is that you don't get your children super accustomed to sweet things, and they won't miss it when you cut it out.
That's true. So there are a lot of different things that you could do. I often use less sugar than asked for simply because I haven't been grocery shopping and I don't want to go back to the store. So we reduced the amount of sugar a little bit here. And so we're going to go ahead and get that blended together before we start on our next steps.
Okay, so our sugar is blend it in with our shortening. And it's kind of like a wet sand texture.
Perfect.
And
so
eggs.
Next we're gonna go ahead and get eggs added in. We have 4 eggs, right, Mom?
4 eggs for this one.
Perfect. And we compost all of our eggshells here. So we'll get those right in our compost. They'll go into, we have a big compost pile in the backyard that my mom uses for all of her gardening. Mom, will you talk a little bit about your gardens and what you love to grow?
Okay, so I switched from vegetables to, because I had a lot of kids before that did my weeding, and then when my kids moved out, doggone it, I lost my labor force. So I converted my vegetable garden into elderberry bushes and beach plums and rhubarb. And so basically my philosophy on gardening is to keep it native. And if it wants to grow, it'll grow. And if it doesn't want to grow, I don't care, and I just forget about it. Okay, so we've cracked our eggs in.
All right, we got our eggs in, and now next will be the zucchini. So we'll get
Dump it in.
all of our zucchini in there. Perfect. You want to give that a scrape, Mom? Perfect. That's great. And then we don't need to do water, right? For this, do we need to do water?
Not that I'm seeing in the recipe.
Okay, perfect. So we're good to go. Great. Next thing that we need are 3 1/3 cups of flour. Okay, so we need 3 1/3 cups, so that's 1.
I usually mix it in a bowl first all together and then put it in all at once so that it's evenly dispersed, but you do what you do you.
Oops. Sorry. All right, Mom, I would love for you to kind of tell all of my neighbors out in San Diego. We like to joke about how your garden is an English garden.
It is.
And
how it got its name?
please, will you talk a little bit, not about how
Okay.
it got its name, but just talk a little bit about your English garden.
Well, I inherited a very formal landscape, and it had anything that was ornamental or fashionable was in it, and that's just not me. And I knew that I wanted to work on saving bees and insects, and didn't want to put all that work into it, but still have, the satisfaction of providing a food source for my other neighbors besides my human neighbors.
So who are those neighbors?
My neighbors, my bunnies, my birds, my bees, an occasional bear or deer.
It's great. One of my favorite things about my mom is that she is very passionate about our pollinators. So she's very intentional in her gardens and making sure that bees and monarch butterflies in particular feel at home in our yard, which is really nice.
And I don't just go out and collect random seeds off the side of the road, because we have
You do that.
I don't randomly do it because you don't want to accidentally spread an invasive species. So know what you are collecting and what you are tossing.
So where do you get your wildflowers from then?
Well, I do borrow them from other people's fields and along the side of the road, but it's important to know that you aren't like taking hogweed or something like that.
So do your research.
Yes.
Then. Okay, perfect. How do you do your research on what's native? My mom is very careful about only planting native things in her garden.
Oftentimes your university extension will provide a list of items that are native. Other times you can go to native nurseries and you can pretend you're shopping and sort of make a list.
Okay, perfect.
And get your information that way.
And then get it from nature. Fabulous. Okay. So I'm adding in the baking soda. Mom, do you want to, what comes after that? Our salt? I can do that. All right, what comes after salt, Mom?
All right, so we put in 2/3 cup water.
I didn't put any water in. Did you put water
Well,
in?
it's a good thing we're looking at the recipe. 2/3 cup water. 3 1/3 cups all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons baking soda, 1 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1/2 teaspoon baking powder, 1 teaspoon ground cinnamon. I'll do the water if you do the cinnamon.
Okay, I haven't done the baking powder yet.
Oh, you
Half
better-
teaspoon baking powder. I can do that.
Yep.
All right. Always double check your instructions, friends.
Especially if you're cooking with someone else.
You never know what you'll forget.
But here's the thing. If you are cooking with someone else and it turns out terribly, it's always their fault.
Fabulous. Okay, I'll start mixing all that up, but that does explain why things weren't blending together
So I
fabulously.
usually don't mix with a...
Do you still use the blender for this?
No, I usually find
What's the difference?
you get all the stuff off the bottom so you don't end up with flour clumps in your recipe.
In my recipe. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
That always
experience.
happens to me. There's nothing worse than biting into zucchini bread and ending up with a mouthful of baking soda.
Yeah, that is awful.
Did you put the spices in there, dear?
No, not yet.
All right.
Okay, so we have all of our ingredients mixed up, and let's go ahead and get them in the pans. We have enough for 2 loaves of bread, so we're going to go ahead and fill those up. That way, all right. Make sure you do it the right way, my friends. Get the second one going. And I really like to grease my pans when you're prepping them for the batter. I really like to use coconut oil because I think it adds some nice flavor.
I don't own coconut oil.
We did it the
Betty Crocker.
the Betty
way.
Crocker way, so of course it's shortening that's in here right now.
You never can have too much shortening.
But in Southern California, we have no shortage of coconut oil, so that's what I recommend.
And I guarantee you that in my mother's cookbook it was lard.
It-
But so
Oh my
vegetable
God.
shortening is an improvement.
Good
but-
old New Englanders.
But you can do
Just
better.
trying to survive the winter. Fabulous. Okay, great. So we have these ready to go. We're going to put them in our oven for what, an hour, I believe. So we'll pop those in there. I will mention
Hour and 10
it
minutes.
is like what, Mom? It's like 87.
1,050 degrees
like-
with 79%
It's like
humidity.
85 degrees here, probably 85% humidity as well. We're suffering, so we fired up a convection oven in hopes that we won't roast ourselves in the process of baking this bread too.
You
So-
haven't cooked until you put a little sweat into your food.
Oh my God, ew. We'll be back in an hour. What? Oh, not with the... There we go. Okay, go ahead.
Now comes a part of the tradition that you're aware of, but you don't remember. That it's always tradition that the zucchini bread sticks to the bottom of the pan when you're trying to get it out. And
It's uncooperative.
and so you always serve to your company the one that came out the best.
Okay,
Okay,
perfect.
here we go.
Let's see what we get. Oh, yikes.
This is still hot. I'm rushing it a little bit.
Careful, Mama. Oh, that's actually perfect. Oh, careful. That's... Wow. Okay. There's a contender. Love it. And then let me try the other one. We'll see who wins. So when these came out of the oven, we just ran a knife around the edges to loosen up those edges before we are kind of coaxing this bread out of the pan here. Oh. Oh.
I
Of
lied.
course, they both came out perfect. And you know what's funny about these, you guys? This bread is so good. The top is so amazing that one time when we were little, my younger brother snuck out of his bedroom in the middle of the night and ate only the entire top half of the loaf. That's how good this is. So we are going to eat some of this with some sun butter, right? We're a nut-free house here, so we're gonna get some sun butter. We're gonna put it on here. We're gonna try it out. It's in the top left, underneath the chocolate.
Underneath the chocolate.
Top left under the chocolate.
Oh, got it.
This is really great warm, so we're gonna go ahead and just. Oh, Mom, the top was so good. So crispy on top. Look at that. That looks great, yeah?
I don't know what you're using to cut it with.
And
But
this is what you gave me, Mom. I said, get the bread knife, and here's what we have.
okay.
Oh, it's very hot. Very, very hot.
And you can put cream cheese on it, or any type of jelly, or you can just eat it plain. But it's close to lunch, so we're gonna get a little protein on this. But here's the thing about zucchini bread, Kayden. These came out just a little bit low. I suspect that my baking powder may not have been as fresh as it should have been. But zucchini bread is very forgiving and very versatile. You know, you like cranberries, throw cranberries in there. You like walnuts, throw walnuts in there. You know,
Betty Crocker won't be offended.
yeah, throw whatever you have in there that you like, and it's gonna come out.
Perfect.
All right.
All right. Well, I hope that you all have enjoyed. I hope you've all enjoyed cooking with my mom and I today. And remember, as always, you can email me at funkyfoodcoach@goodneighborgardens.com, and I am happy to help with any recipe ideas that you might need for your extra zucchini or otherwise. I check that inbox every day at lunch. Mom,
And if you stick your finger in it, it's yours.
Perfect.
All right.
Mom, this has been so wonderful
All right.
cooking with you today. Mwah. You're wonderful.
Bye.
Bye.